Level 1. The Architect of Anarchy. In 2011, Ross Ulbricht wasn't a criminal mastermind. He was a 26-year-old with a master's in materials science and an obsession with libertarian economics. He lived in a plain apartment in Austin, Texas, but his mind was elsewhere. He saw the world as a place of coercion by governments. He wanted to build a simulation, a place where the state had no power. Using his self-taught coding skills, he combined the anonymity of the Tor network with a brand new, obscure technology called Bitcoin. He wasn't just building a website, he was building a digital sovereignty. He launched it under the name Underground Brokers, but it soon evolved into the legendary Silk Road. He started by selling mushrooms grown in his own cabin, but the code he wrote was about to change the internet forever. Level 2. The Bitcoin Engine. To understand how Ross stayed hidden, you have to understand the blockchain. In 2011, Bitcoin was a toy for nerds, but Ross saw it as the perfect blood for his empire. It allowed peer-to-peer transactions without a central bank. Every empire needs a ledger, and the blockchain provided a public but pseudonymous one. However, Ross knew that simply using Bitcoin wasn't enough. He implemented a tumbler, or a mixer, within the Silk Road's code. This would take a user's Bitcoin, break it into thousands of tiny pieces, mix it with other users' coins, and then send it to the destination. It was digital money laundering at its finest. By the end of 2011, the Silk Road was facilitating millions in transactions, and Ross, taking a small cut from every deal, was becoming one of the richest anonymous men on the planet. Level 3. Rise of the Pirate King. As the site exploded, Ross realized he couldn't be Ross anymore. He became the Dread Pirate Roberts. This wasn't just a username, it was a psychological shield. He adopted a philosophy based on the book Alongside Night, portraying himself as a freedom fighter against a tyrannical system. While the world saw a drug kingpin, his followers saw a hero. He managed a massive team of moderators and customer service reps, all paid in Bitcoin, all working from their basements around the globe. He created a rating system, just like Amazon or eBay, which ironically made the illegal drug trade safer for users than buying on a street corner. But the more the site grew, the more it attracted the eye of Sauron, the United States government. Level 4. The Digital Fingerprint. Every software engineer knows your biggest vulnerability is always a human error. Enter Gary Alford, an IRS investigator with a sharp eye for detail. While the FBI was looking for high-tech hacks, Gary went back to basics. He searched Google for the very first mentions of Silk Road on the internet. He found a post on a forum called Bitcoin Talk from a user named Altoid. A few months later, that same Altoid posted a job ad looking for an IT pro in the Bitcoin space and asked applicants to email rossulbricht@gmail.com. Gary couldn't believe it. He cross-referenced the name on LinkedIn and found a physicist in San Francisco interested in economic simulations. The ghost had a name, a Gmail account, and a LinkedIn profile. Ross had committed the ultimate sin of OPSEC. He had linked his ClearNet identity to his darknet empire. Level 5. The War Inside. Rogue Agents. By 2013, the Silk Road was a $1.2 billion enterprise, but the investigation was rotting from the inside. Two agents, Carl Force of the DEA and Sean Bridges of the Secret Service, realized they could make more money by being criminals than by catching one. Carl created a fake persona named Knob and started talking to Ross. He sold Ross inside info for Bitcoin. Meanwhile, Sean hacked into a moderator's account and stole over $800,000 in Bitcoin from the site. This created a chaotic three-way game. Ross was trying to outrun the FBI, while the FBI agents were secretly robbing him. This corruption was so bad that it later became a main point in Ross's legal appeals, as the very men supposed to uphold the law were stealing the evidence. Level 6. The contract for blood. The stress of the theft and the constant fear of informants changed Ross. When a moderator named Curtis Green was arrested and Bitcoin went missing, Dread Pirate Roberts panicked. He reached out to a contact on the site to arrange a hit. He paid $80,000 to have Green killed. What he didn't know was that the hitman was an undercover agent. They faked Green's death with staged photos to prove the job was done. Ross allegedly ordered 5 more hits on various blackmailers. Prosecutors would later use these chat logs to portray Ross as a cold-blooded killer. Even though no one actually died, the intent was there. The Philosopher King had officially turned into a dark web tyrant. Level 7. The Glen Park Ambush. October 1, 2013. Ross walked into the Glen Park Library in San Francisco. He sat at a wooden table in the science fiction section, fittingly. He logged in to the Silk Road's master admin panel under the name Mastermind. The FBI agents were everywhere, dressed as hipsters and librarians. They knew if they just tackled him, he would slam his laptop shut and the encryption would lock them out forever. So they staged a distraction. A man and a woman behind him started screaming and pushing each other. As Ross turned his head in surprise, an agent grabbed the laptop while it was still hot, unlocked. They found everything: his personal diary, his Bitcoin wallet, and the logs of every transaction. The Silk Road didn't end with a hack, it ended with a snatch. Level 8. The Price of Freedom. The trial was a media circus. In 2015, a judge sentenced Ross to 2 life sentences plus 40 years, no chance of parole. The message was clear: the digital frontier is not a lawless land. For 12 years, Ross sat in a cell while his mother, Lynn, fought for his freedom. The Free Ross movement became a global phenomenon, supported by tech leaders and billionaires who felt the sentence was a cruel and unusual overkill for a non-violent first-time offender. Then, in January 2025, the political winds shifted. President Donald Trump issued a full and unconditional pardon. Ross walked out of prison that evening, reuniting with his family. His journey, from a quiet coder to a billionaire fugitive, to a prisoner, and finally a free man, is the ultimate warning of the 21st century. The internet remembers everything, and the law has a very long arm.